Hey friends, it's Ryan here with Maximize Your Potential, and today I wanted to talk to you about one of our services, athlete mentoring. Now, this is one of the things that I enjoy the most as part of Maximize Your Potential because it holds a really specific place close to my heart. Growing up, I experienced the value of mentors all along my journey to becoming a member of the Great Britain cycling team and enjoying some of the success that I've had today. And this is my way of showing and passing on the advice that I learned, the experience I had with those mentors when I was younger, and really kind of help people in the same way that other people managed to help me when I was going through the system and getting to where I am and the place that I'm in now. So what is athlete mentoring? Well, effectively, I'm going to be that person in your corner throughout your whole journey, wherever your career as a sports person may take you. And this could be the third arm, really, in that relationship that a lot of youngsters have when they have a coach, they have their parents to go to. But sometimes, you need someone else, an independent ear to go to kind of hear you out on some of your concerns and struggles and have those conversations with you and give you some of that emotional guidance that, sometimes a coach will be busy with loads of different athletes and they've got enough to focus on already with all of your, the different elements of your physical preparation. And your parents, they've got a lot on their plate already as well. And they may not have had that experience of elite sports system, or so the best way to go around these kind of things in these specific challenging circumstances. So I'm going to be that extra person in your corner that you can go to for anything. Like, I'm a part of your new support network that you can trust, have confidence in, and you don't have to worry about things that you share with me impacting your selection or your relationships with your teammates or anything else like that. So these are the things that you might struggle to tell a coach about because you're fearful of those kinds of implications. And it's really, really valuable to have somewhere still to go and air out those concerns, because the more that you bottle them in, the more it's going to impact on your physical preparation, and your coach will know that something's wrong down the line anyway. So who is athlete mentoring for? Well, I see this as a really valuable service for anyone who's trying to make sport their career or for whom sport is already their career. So it's in this particular situation where people are really, really focused and really, really struggling with some of the pressures that it brings. You're constantly at risk of losing a position in a team, or you're constantly building yourself up for that one big day where you get to prove yourself. And it's these people who I feel like it will have the biggest impact on, because from my experience, when I got into that position myself, this kind of support was absolutely invaluable, and I kind of came onto it by chance. But I wish there was somewhere specific I could have gone at certain times to get this kind of support. So why am I offering this? Well, growing up, I didn't have the most streamlined route into becoming a professional athlete. And this kind of stemmed back to when I was a teenager, from the ages of 15 to 19, trying to get onto the Great Britain cycling team. I would apply every single year in September, having put in what I felt like was a reasonable performance, but I never quite made the grade. And I'd often struggle with sort of that motivation and struggle with that blow following, that missing out on selection each year. And it was in those moments specifically where I learned that I needed someone to reach out to, someone to support me, someone else in my corner, so that I wasn't dealing with this journey and having to sort of find all of the learning points out of it myself. And that was where I found value in mentors. And I would go talk to them about all of my struggles. I would talk to them about how I can improve, like as a person, but as an athlete independently from the physical elements on the bike. And this sort of thing held me in amazing stead through those years of kind of disappointment and struggle before I got given the opportunity on the Great Britain cycling team. And even once that happened, like the lessons that I learned from those mentors, the struggles that I'd been through with them, and the ways I'd learned from those conversations and challenges that I'd faced has really kind of helped me tackle new things as I've been a part of the team. As I've gone on to world championships, European championships, and been as reserve at the Olympic Games. Like those things all came with new challenges, but I've maintained some of those mentors from before and still go and speak to them and like work through them with people, because whilst I'm an experienced athlete now in many regards, there's still things that come up where I'm like, I still need to hear this out with someone, like use somebody as a sounding board in this way. So what does athlete mentoring entail? Well, to start with, we'll have a look at lifestyle design and optimization. And this is something where it can be a little bit neglected from a young athlete's perspective. They might focus very, very strongly on what they're doing in their training session. They might already have a decent look at diet and that kind of element as well. But there's a third element there that's sometimes really missed out, and that is kind of the focusing on making sure that you have everything instead at home before you go in to your training session. Making sure you've done everything in preparation properly. And this is something I've cultivated over years of training as a professional athlete, and even before that as a more independent athlete, where I had to figure a lot more things out for myself. So I want to kind of pass on some of that knowledge and some of the ways that I work with my own lifestyle to make sure that I'm in the best space possible when I turn up to that training session. And if it's a 2-hour session, then I'm coming in from minute one in the best position possible. Secondly, we're going to look at mindset and mentality. So, these are words that are banded around pretty often, but the way that I want to use these and to help you develop these is to help you ask you really kind of interesting questions to see like whether you can reframe different challenges as opportunities for growth, and to really help you pinpoint those and maximize your potential as an athlete going forward into the future. Now, this is something that as a young athlete, I went through my fair few struggles like anybody else. I would struggle with kind of your day-to-day things like balancing schoolwork with training. I would struggle with that kind of giving and focus of like, where am I going to get the most bang for my buck? And I can tell you pretty strongly that developing a strong mindset, a strong foundational mentality is the core thing that is going to keep you consistent throughout your training. Like a lot of people can sustain that idea of perfection as a level for a few weeks, but it's really, as a young athlete in your developing years, it's going to be keeping the gas on in the right way over those years. It's going to sustain your long-term development. And keeping a strong mindset and cultivating a strong mentality is what's going to keep that consistency there, rather than the peaks and troughs that can come with big setbacks and disappointments such as injuries or missing out on selection. This is the thing that will hold you steady and positive for the long duration. So one of the other areas we'll focus on is personal growth and development. Now, this is something that I feel is kind of grossly neglected in schools, where we're taught to really follow a curriculum, get the best grades in exams and everything else. But you're expected to kind of learn how to grow and improve as a person, and difficult life skills just along the way. And I think there's definitely a lot to be found in focusing on this specifically from a young age. Things like having difficult conversations and learning who is best to go to about different things, understanding yourself a little bit better and sort of understanding the root causes of the way you're feeling, the way you're approaching things, and kind of really cultivating this growth mentality that I feel like when you've got all these pressures around school, when you've got all of these pressures around training and everything else as well, you just you can lose the way pretty easily on trying to actually take small steps to improve yourself as a person in the way that you show up, communicate with people. And that's going to be a vital skill to you when you're trying to go and have these tough conversations with coaches, with your parents, with national teams who you're trying to break into. Because being a teenager is a tough thing. Like, you're going through a lot of challenging things. Like, there's a lot that you're trying to work out. You're trying to discover kind of who you are as a person and where you want to go with your life. So applying some kind of useful mental tools and psychological models towards that can help you really kind of unravel some of those challenges as you're going through that phase. So we'll also talk about handling pressure. Now, I don't know about you, but one of the most frustrating things when I was a young athlete was that for some reason or another, when it came to the actual day that I needed to perform, for some reason I could not quite get out my best performance. And this was so unbelievably frustrating, like turning up on the day and thinking that you'd done everything perfectly as best you could in preparation for the day, and then looking up at the scoreboard or looking up at the final result, and it's just not what you expected, and it's not what everything predicted in the build-up. And a lot of this comes down to handling the pressure of the day. There's something has changed between your training and preparation and your mindset going into the day. And this was something that followed with me right into my early days of British cycling, and something that you have to learn over time, but there's also ways that you can speed up that learning. And having kind of been through that process myself, knowing now that I can go to the day and it will lift me, it will give me a raise, I'll get something good out of the race day atmosphere that will get the best out of myself, is a way better position to go into thinking, oh no, I really need to live up to what I've done in training so far. And I really want to help you kind of build on that and learn how to do that. I also want to talk to you about how you can build your own world-class support system. So as part of British Cycling, I have access to like an array of amazing people with world-class knowledge in their area, from a nutritionist to physiologists to coaches, gym coaches, physios. It's an amazing thing to have, and there's no doubt the impact that has on the performance of the athletes within the program is immense. So it's really important to understand how, when you're not part of a program like this, you can create something similar for yourself where you're still getting elements of that kind of support from different people, different angles, that is going to boost your performance overall. And it's something that you can build from the ground up. You just have to look at who's around you, who's available to you, and you have to try and find the best ways to use each person to help support you in the best way. And as your mentor, I will act as another string in your bow there. So I will help you build this system. I will help you see who might be best to go to for dealing with a particular challenge, or going, say for example, you're struggling to balance your school with life, with sport, something that pretty much every young athlete will have that challenge in their career. And I can help you see who the best person to go to for each thing is, and help you understand what you can expect when you go to those different people. We can look at how you can use your own research to kind of guide your training, how to best present something new to your coach, or to present a new idea to your parents that you think might boost your performance, and get their backing and support. So it's a really useful thing to have from a young age, because if you get into one of those systems then and you have all of those people around you, you'll be that much better prepared and experienced in getting the best out of those who are there to support you. We can also look at team social dynamics, and this is actually, it's a constant challenge. It's going to change and evolve based on who's involved in your team at that particular time, but it's something that, again, we sort of assume people are going to be okay and they're going to be able to figure it out for themselves. And you're thrown into this really tricky environment, be it one where you're competing with different people to move up to the next stage in development in a program. You could be a substitute who in a sports team who is trying to break into the spot of another athlete in that team, or you could be on the other end of it. You've got upcoming riders, upcoming athletes who are fighting for your spot, and you're having to defend it. And this can create some really tough social dynamics that you're going to have to learn how to deal with as a sports person, because they won't go away. The elite level, it will just be the same kind of thing, except you might be going for an Olympic selection rather than just trying to break into the first team. So this is something we'll have a look at, and we'll see how to help you find your place in the team and still cultivate positive, meaningful relationships with your teammates, even if you're competing with them. So those are just a few starting points of where we can go. But the important thing to note is, like, I'm going to be there in your corner for your whole journey, and I will tackle these challenges with you. I'll be on the other end of the phone, and we can have these conversations and supportive discussions around just generally maintaining that growth mindset that's so important for young athletes to really cultivate and to learn. And I feel like this is going to make a massive difference to anybody who feels like there's something missing. They're not quite reaching the potential that they know they have. So if you're interested in working with me and trying some athlete mentoring yourself, then please get in touch with me at ryan@maximizeyourpotentialcoaching.com. We also have our website, www.maximizeyourpotentialcoaching.com, and we're on every social media as well. So get in touch with me, book a free consultation, and we can chat through what I may be able to offer you and how we can get the most out of the building in this new element to your support system to take you to the next level.